Hey, everyone. I hope everyone is good. I hope everyone is great. And I hope that you are sitting in a space where you are collecting your thoughts, you are getting your life together, and you are at a happy medium. And if you're not, I hope that, the podcast will really bring and bridge your thoughts and your feelings together so that it helps you with a more direct feeling in life and giving you much wisdom, much love, and much admiration. As I began to write down notes for the podcast, I started to look at the things that I wanted to talk about. And so I decided that on this Friday will be the last of the series of the podcast, and then on Monday of next week we will be bridging over into another season. And I did so because this again was like the introductory of the podcast. I'm just starting fresh and anew, but I wanted to put all of that the positive energy out there, and I wanted to let the listeners listen in on what really matters in the world. But I also feel once I started to write down the topics that there is a moment in where we need to talk about some deep things. And I don't want to, tell you too much, but let's just say that a couple of topics will be generational trauma and how to rework and undo some generational curses in our family. And then we'll go and proceed. Again, I'm so happy that you're here. I am blessed whenever I get emails, and the emails are set up to where when I reach a goal with a set amount of listeners, I think it's like increments of 50. So when I get to a certain thing, I'll get an email, congratulations, you got to this level or this level. And it's very encouraging and soothing for the soul, because I know that I am not doing this and just pulling stuff out the air. It is a great place to be. And I am really, really, really happy. For today's, talk about, I want to talk about love and loving the wrong people and what we're not going to do in 2023 in congruence to love. One of the things I don't want to see anymore, and especially because I am a woman, so I do have a connection to many women. I don't want to see a lot of my ladies loving on people in 2023 when they're not getting the love back. That is a bad spot to sit in, that you are overindulging and hoping that the love that you give to others is enough for them to stay, for them to see your worth, and for them to just be a bridge for you. And many times what happens is you or a woman becomes overwhelmed by the fact that innately what she has in her is just love. And this is what she wants to give because she doesn't want anything in return. But it is a very lonely feeling when all that you are giving to a person is not given back to you. And so I don't want to see a lot of women, and I will say men as well, because you know what? This world and the way relationships and connections are set up is really weird to me. And I always say in the back of my head, and I've said it aloud many times, I really feel like an alien right here on earth, because it is very different. I also see men being pulled into relationships with women by the means of what they have. And women have this expectancy, not all, but some have this expectancy that what the man is supposed to do is just merely take care of her financially, and that she is not supposed to put anything into that relationship and the work. Relationships are work, and we are failing to restructure the way our relationships are going. So I guess, for the most part, for women, and men, I want y'all to stop putting yourselves in position to where you are loving people the way that you know how to, and you're not getting anything back in return. At some point, we have to realize that it's just not working for us. And I want us to establish this great notion that everything that looks good on the outside doesn't mean that it's good for you. You know, you see beautiful women all the time. You see very, very handsome men, but it doesn't really, it's not a telltale sign of what kind of person these people will actually be. And so when you love someone, you love them for reasons that are congruent with the way in which you love and how you see yourself in the future. I think that a lot of people are, they are together or coming together for the reason of potential. And I know a lot of people, who have experienced this. For example, a woman who, meets a man and, he looks good. He looks good, and by means of talking and communicating, there are red flags, but see, we ignore the red flags. And the potential is that if I mold and shape him into the type of person that I want to be, he could be the very best. And by the way in which I give love and I give energy, I can make him, as I need him, and he will provide everything that I need. The same way with men, they see a beautiful woman and they see red flags, There are big red flags, but they think by showering her and doing the things that she constantly asks for, that will allow love to be spread evenly between the two, and it doesn't work. Because what happens is somebody is going to always give and somebody is going to always take. And love and relationships are not always equal. But if you are burdened by the fact that everything that you give is not given back in return, that is a huge mistake and the biggest red flag. And you need to come back to the center and leave all of that alone, because it's going to do nothing but bring you down. Also in 2023, what we're not going to do in congruence with love is that we are not going to settle. And I know that's a hard truth for some of us to sit on, but we ain't settling in 2023. I often think about, the structure of marriage in which it was years ago. So when I'm talking about like our, grandmothers and our great grandmothers who really married for companionship. The man needed something out of the woman and the woman needed something out of the man. And it, for a lot of reasons, wasn't based on love. It was, she would make a good wife because she keeps a good home and she would be a great mother. And, the marriage with a man is, he's a great provider and he, can contribute to the household. And so they are together and there is no love. Well, in modern day relationships, it looks the same. You have someone who may have a position, right? And it looks good on the outside, but see, these facades, they're real tricky. It looks great when the eyes are, on the accomplishments and the things earned by the two people and everything looks great. They have a beautiful family. They have a beautiful house and everything looks great. But in the inside, there are two people dying. And so I don't want us to get into a space where we are settling with our partners only because it looks good to other people. When we settle, we are losing out on the greatest possibility, number one, for ourselves and for the other person that is in connection with us. If you love someone and someone loves you back, you are constantly pushing and you are motivating and you are making sure that when you go up, they go up too, right? And when you move up 2 steps, they're moving 2 steps up with you. You want an equal design in that relationship. But then when there is an unequal balance, you have one who steps up and leaves the other behind. And that is where love goes sour. I never want to see people who are stagnant in their growth in a relationship, in their connection with another person, because it really does a lot, even just to the physical and the mental of ourselves. Physically, we become drained. We don't pay much attention to ourselves. Another person can make you feel so unloved that you stop loving yourself and you stop showing up for yourself. And then even with the mental capacity of just sitting in the space where the love is not equal, you have thoughts of varied situational thoughts. You become depressed. There's anger, there's sadness, there's an array of emotions that go into the mental health which would slide down a slippery slope. And some people get so low that they cannot get themselves out. I want to bridge into this connection with friends too, because this is very important. When you have a friend that you love, that you honor their time, you honor the commitment of friendship, you honor who they are, and you realize, wow, I'm giving so much in this friendship and I'm not getting anything back. That tears a hole in you. That also puts you in a space where you feel as if you want to be reluctant now with the way you honor other people. But what sticks out greatly when I think about all of these things, when I talk about friendship or I talk about a relationship, what sticks out to me is, how are you loving yourself? How are you looking at yourself? Because, when we think about it as well, sometimes things happen because we lose ourselves in these relationships and these connections by means of love. Because if I love myself and I honor myself and I want all things to go the way it's supposed to, I will not allow many things to happen when it comes to friendships and relationships. Meaning, I honor myself so much that I will not stand for someone disrespecting this love, someone giving me minimal of their love, someone not showing up for me in this love, someone just not being in tune with me when it comes to this love. What I allow, what you allow, is a direct means between how you feel about yourself. You cannot get so low and in a space where you allow people to take advantage of your heart and the things that you give. And therefore, it is time for you to cycle back into your centering and find yourself. Now, I'm not saying that people don't change over time. Therapy is a great way to get some things out, a conversation maybe. But at some point, you kind of know when things go awry and it's not going to change for your good. I also believe highly in prayer. But one thing I do know about prayer is that if we are praying on something specific by means of that relationship and, you giving your all, or by means of that friendship and you giving your all, you got to put in the work too. You can't just say, God, why don't they see me this way? I love so hard. I want to be loved back. God, please place this in their heart for me to love equally, or maybe somewhat of what I'm giving them. God honors when we put forth the effort as well. And God also equips us with wisdom. What's tricky about all of this too is, we can ask God for all of these things, but like I've said so many times before, it's also a lesson. And if you are not putting wisdom in your prayers, then you're going to find out the lesson that God is teaching you. I don't think that you necessarily need to pray, God, let them love me this way, knowing that the person may not show up the way that you need them to. And I'm not saying it's a wasted prayer. I'm just saying, before you sit in your quiet space and pray for certain things when it comes to love and how you want people to show up for you, also be reminded that you know in the back of your mind what people are capable of. And so be careful with that. In 2023, we are not allowing people to tell us how they're going to love us and we be okay with it. Everyone has what they want and what they need provided in their own life. And if you are not being fed what you need to be fed, you will be miserable. And in 2023, we're not sitting with that, because we have to get to a point where we love ourselves more, that we desire to either stay and fix it or leave. And in 2023, we are showing up differently with this radical love that we have for ourselves and the way that we give it to people. You know, one thing about love as well is that you can love people as much as you want to, right? But you can also love them from afar. And if it's not you giving what I'm giving to you, listen, if it's not me giving and you can't give to me what I need from you, then we both have to accept the fact that it's not going to work. And if the other person doesn't want to put in the work of the friendship or the relationship, then things have to cease. And you have to go on about your life gaining something very valuable for yourself. So again, in 2023, we're not settling. Okay, we are not going to be okay with people saying, well, this is how I love. Either you deal with it or whatever. We are not going into spaces where it bothers our mental capabilities and our mental state, that it aggravates the physical structure of how we look and how we stand up. We are not going into 2023 feeling unloved and damaged. We are going into 2023 strong and resilient, and also saying and speaking up to what we want and what we need. Ooh, okay. That was a lot, but we had to get that off the chest, right? Because we're standing up for ourselves, and we are not going to be, in a space where we are not honoring our biggest self, our largest self, our highest self, our most vulnerable and beautiful self. In 2023, we are telling people how we want to be loved, and we are showing them through our actions what it looks like when they're not available and not giving to the love that we're giving to them. I hope that it gave you some openings, some notes to write down. I hope that it bridged and answered a lot of things that maybe you have been feeling. And I really hope that you relaxed in this state with the knowing that you deserve to be treated like a queen. You deserve to be treated like a king. And you don't take sloppy seconds or sloppiness or crumbs from anyone. We all deserve something great. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. I am so glad that, I am able to be a voice amongst millions and millions of podcasts out there. If this is your first time listening, welcome. And I hope you stay. And I hope that you make me one of the podcasts that you listen to on a weekly basis. Do not forget that on Mondays, we have the beautiful reminders, which are just affirmations to start off your week, to get the mind flowing, to get you in a good space, and to just make you feel at home. Thank y'all. And this is it. I ain't got no more to say. I hope you got some of that seasoned dialogue, and I will see you back on Friday. Peace.